Cancel.
Schweezy.
All right, so I didn't do a lot this week, and I didn't want to review a movie, so I'm just going to talk about the stuff I watched on TV this week. Apparently, you guys like that. So I want to talk about I watched the documentary on Netflix, the Last Blockbuster. I actually bought a Blockbuster shirt, however, did not come in time for the show. I bought it on Monday. I record the shows on Fridays, and it didn't come in time. So I'm wearing my shirt with dinosaurs on it that says the Bodacious period. I'm kind of pulling it up now for the video people. Dinosaurs looking cool, shit like that. No. So I want to talk about like the things that kind of like I just want to talk about because everything I watched was I think one was before 2010. My rule is if I'm going to review a movie, it has to be released before 2010 because I don't want to be spoiling anything for anyone. So I watched the Last Blockbuster. Why am I fucking like saying words wrong today? The Last Blockbuster. It's on Netflix, which is funny because Netflix is the assumption of what ended the company, but you find out actually that it was not the case. But it didn't help. I'm telling you, it did not help. So, like the story of like Blockbuster is really interesting, or like basically any movie rental store. So, basically, when like VHS cassettes like first released, or like they started putting movies on them. Basically, a movie was to own the film. It was like maybe like $90 or something like that. Like, and so basically, you had to buy it from the studios directly for about like $90 around there. Like, so they're pretty fucking expensive. And so like people weren't like just buying movies to keep like kind of what we do nowadays, or like people still buy movies, but not as much because it's like if I can watch it on a streaming service, then it's just easier. Like. Blow it up, and then if you don't know if you only have the DVD, it's not going to be the best picture quality, but with the streaming service, it's going to be the best picture quality. So like movies around like $90 to rent, and so like that's basically how movie rental stores started. Like you buy a couple of the films, like $90, like you buy like 3 or 4 copies of the film, basically, and people rent it, and then you make your money back from people renting the movie, and then there's late fees and stuff like that, I feel like late fees are fine, it's like they're nickeling and diming, but like that's how they stay in business, and like you're renting it for a certain amount of days, and so if you want to do a little bit more, you pay another $1. It's like a Redbox now. It's like $1 a day or something like that, maybe a little bit more for a Blu-ray, and then it's like $1 every day you keep it, and then so. Anyways, let me get to it. So yeah, it was $90, and then I think Blockbuster made like a deal with the movie studios so they could buy the movies cheaper, but then like the movie studios got money from the movie rentals. So that's how Blockbuster was thinking ahead. That way they could have more copies of movies like available. So like a mom and pop video store. Basically they had like, so say a new movie came out. Let's go with Back to the Future. Back to the Future. They have it. Someone wants to rent it. So at best, like this mom and pop video store would have 3 copies of Back to the Future, and if it's like the release day of Back to the Future, like on VHS, people are probably going to want to come and rent it because one, they can't necessarily go to like Walmart or Target and just buy the movie. The best way would just be to rent it at a video store. They would have 3, but like Blockbuster would have maybe like 20 copies or 20 plus copies of it, meaning that Blockbuster, everyone's going to be like, I'm just going to go to Blockbuster because I know they're going to have the movies. There's a good chance you're not going to have the movies. So that's why I'm going to go to Blockbuster. So that's kind of basically Blockbuster was able to take other businesses, the mom and pop ones out with them. I know Family Video still exists. Like I think there was one, but this was back when I went to college. It was in Warrensburg, Missouri. There was one. And then I know there was one in Lawrence, Kansas too. So I know there are at least 2 Family Videos, maybe. They had one in Kirksville when I lived there. I'm going to text my mom, see if she'll get back to me. Okay, hold on, folks. This is the fun part. I'm going to text my mom. What was the name of the video rental store that is now a Sherman-Williams in Kirksville? So we'll see if she responds back in time. She's been texting me pretty good today. But no, so basically that's how Blockbuster came to the business. And obviously, no, let's get into I want to talk about the downfall of Blockbuster. So it wasn't necessarily Netflix, because there was a good amount of time where Netflix and Blockbuster were both fairly even, and then Blockbuster was trying to keep up. They're like, okay, we're going to do a mail-in movie service too. We can afford to do that. I mean, it's not that bad. It's like, oh, you can just get it in the mail. I guess it's like that. I think the biggest thing that they did, they got rid of their late fees. They're like, no more late fees at Blockbuster. And I think that was a bad decision financially, because they mentioned it in the documentary. I'm acting like I'm the expert on this situation. They had the late fees. They got rid of the late fees. And so late fees is a little bit of extra money to actually put everything in, so that's kind of how they make extra money, the snacks and stuff like that. Because I can't necessarily think the movies themselves are making a lot of money, because I assume they make a little bit after the purchasing cost, but then movie prices went down, so they're only having to pay $10-$20 a movie. So, and then after that, so I mean, I would assume just after a 5 or 6 rentals or something like that, they probably make their profit back. Once movie prices gone down, they got rid of the late fees, and so yeah, they're not making money from that. So they're no longer making money from that, and then yeah, I mean, so they're no longer making money from that. So then I guess it was the 2008 stock market crash, and then Blockbuster went bankrupt and stuff like that, and so that's what happens. So. So they just made a lot of bad financial services, and they could have worked with Netflix on that, but they didn't. And now Netflix is the number one streaming service and made the documentary. So burn on burn. So yeah, the 2008 stock market crash. So then a lot of Blockbuster stores just kept shutting down. So I remember when I was in college, I remember they said there were 3. So I was in college 2012, 2016. I remember they were saying there was 3 Blockbusters in Alaska, because they didn't necessarily have the best internet in Alaska. And so movie rentals were actually very good for, in the Alaskan community, because of high-speed internet. And then I guess they got high-speed internet, and all the ones in Alaska closed. So the last Blockbuster that remains is in Bend, Oregon. Blockbuster is owned by Dish, by the way, so I'm surprised they didn't try to do something with that, but anyways, nevertheless. Oh, and they also have a ton of celebrities put in. So they had the owner of the last Blockbuster, I think the employees, and she actually seems like a good manager. And I feel I kind of wish that when I was in high school, I could have gotten a part-time job, or in college at a Blockbuster, because it sounds like it was a chill job. You obviously have the customers getting annoyed with their late fees and shit like that. So obviously those are the bad sides, but you're just basically helping people out. It's easy to help people out. It's hey, do you like this movie? I watched it. I didn't really like it. They're all right, I'm going to rent it anyways. And then they're returning you were right. This movie sucked ass. So I feel that would be fun. What do you recommend I watch? I'm okay, well, I like this movie, that movie. It'd be really good. I like watching TV. Obviously, I talk about it on a podcast. Big comedians, and so they had the owner, her kid, and some of the employees, and then they had this one random ass guy who still rents movies from Blockbuster. I don't know what that fucking guy was. Across the railroad tracks, got to Blockbuster, and they're you have a late fee, and I'll just pay it. Shit. So Kevin Smith was in it, which obviously I feel he's the movie guy. Doug Benson, which he's not looking good, folks. I feel some drug use is not really helping him. Paul Scheer, who's really cool. Sam Levine, and Ron Funches. Ron Funches is too funny for his own good. So that's really cool. So Sandy Harding, I guess, is her name. She owns it. I put in my notes that they owned it. So I think, though, with the last Blockbuster, I think since it's owned by Dish, I think they should keep it open and make it a museum. Because I think the original McDonald's, not the California one, the Ray Kroc original McDonald's in Chicago, I think it's now just a museum, a McDonald's museum. I think they should just make it, because this is I think it is a piece of history with this idea with that, because movies are, movies are history. Like movies are pop culture. Movies are shit like that. I think they should just make it partially make it a museum too, which I think was it John Oliver sent them like a bunch of Russell Crowe props or whatever to the Alaska one, and then they sent it to this one. Like, leave it there too, and like just make it partially a museum. You can still rent movies there too. I mean, like, that's the worst case scenario. You can still rent movies there, and you can still and it's kind of a museum as well. So like film rental you could still rent movies digitally and from Redbox and stuff like that. So making it like the Blockbuster Museum, I think would be a really good idea. So with that being said, go watch that shit. That was it was a good documentary. I'm a big fan of like a good documentary, and I hope we keep that Last Blockbuster open, and worst case scenario, make it just stop movie rentals and make it a museum. Oh yeah, and she, like, Tuesdays is when they do new movie days. She just fucking buys the movies at Target, like, now. Like, that's so weird. Like, you think, like, they come from, like, some big entity? Like, no, this Last Blockbuster, she's just going to Target, buying the movies, and then checking out that shit. Like, that's all it was. So that was kind of weird, but nevertheless, he persisted. Let's get on to the second thing I watched this week. So I watched Zoey 101 because I was their age when they were the ages on the show, and I had crushes on all the women on that show. And rewatching as an adult man, you're like, I'm attracted to what they look like now, but I'm reminded of when I was a child. Like, these were like, man, I wish I want to be their boyfriend, And it's weird, like, and that's a good debate question I have with everyone here. So you watched something when you were a child because there was like an actress in it you really liked, and they were your age at the time, like of the time when it was filmed. Is it okay as an adult to reminisce on that and be like, man, I had a total crush on you back in the day? It's like, I realize why I like girls who wear jean skirts. Like, that's one thing. Anyways, though, but no, I rewatched Zoey 101. Now, I like a lot of Dan Schneider shows, and I'm aware that Dan Schneider is a shady human being, had a big foot fetish. Sorry, it's not TJ, it's Dan Schneider. But the actors in all the shows did nothing wrong, minus Drake Bell, which I'm not here to cancel Drake Bell. Someone else, some white woman's going to cancel Drake Bell, so let's let her do that. But anyways, I knew a guy who actually went to school with Drake Bell, and he's like, yeah, he's a pretty shitty person. Anyway, so none of the people in those shows did anything wrong, like iCarly, Victorious, and Sam and Cat. I think the weird shit started with iCarly and Victorious and Sam and Cat. Those are the shows where the creepy one. This one didn't have any weird feet shit, I noticed, and it's weird, but I love those shows. I even love Drake and Josh. I know I'm not supposed to like Drake Bell, but I still love the show. And so, and also one thing I learned that, like, I always thought the show ended because Jamie Lynn Spears got pregnant, but no, they just actually ended properly, because I never remember how it ended. I did not remember how it ended, so that's why I was like, I want to remember how the show ended, so that's why I want to rewatch it. So that's a thing too. So it wasn't because of the pregnancy, because it actually had like a full arc and full end, like a proper ending to the show. So young Schweezy rewatching the show, crushing on all the women. Zoey was one, Nicole was one, Dana was one, Lola was one, Quinn was one. I fantasized about all the girls on that show, and that's a thing. But another thing, like with the show I watched, was Dustin was like Zoe's little brother. He did not have a crush on any of Zoe's friends. I have to assume. Look. Okay, I'm a younger brother to a gay man, and his lady friends, can't say female anymore, so I don't know how to it can't say girlfriends because that means something else. Can't say lady friends because that means he's just fucking them and not doing anything. So his women friends that he is friends with were not attractive to me at all. Almost sounds like I'm saying I'm attracted to me, but no, I wasn't attracted to any of them. The kind of women who hang out with gay men. Anyways, though, so if I was Dustin, I'd be like, I'm in love with all your friends, Zoe. shit like that. But he never did. He was always respectful and very nice to all of them. They were always like, "Oh, you're so cute, Dustin," and they were like, "Oh, Dustin." And I'm like, if I was Dustin, I'd be like, I'm in love with all your friends, Zoey. That's always a plot hole I thought about. Another thing I love about this show, they had all the 2000s nostalgia with like just all of it is like the things I absolutely love and adore now. Like, so, what is it? And then, and they rebranded it kind of to like fit the show, but like, they had like iPods. Yeah, I still have one, and I customized it 128 gigs. It's pretty cool. They had T-Mobile, like this version of like a T-Mobile Sidekick, which was really cool. That was like the phone like when I was a kid. Like we didn't even have T-Mobile in any place I lived. I think my parents have like Cellular One phone services. And I remember when I switched from like my parents' phone service to like my own in Nashville, it was like, this is, I can actually use like internet when I'm not on Wi-Fi. And that was pretty great. And yeah, like just the coolest tech, all the ones I wanted, like the white MacBooks, actually stuff I have now as an adult I bought. But no, like they had that dream tech, like, I remember like one Christmas, I was still living in Kansas, so I was under 13, and I like really wanted a Motorola Razr, and my parents would definitely not buy me that. So they never did. I never had a Motorola Razr, and I know they're making a new one, but I'm sold on the iPhone now. So I am part of the Apple ecosystem, and that is that. Also, how did Chase not realize? No, how did Zoey not realize that Chase was in love with her? Like, he like would do anything for her, and it was just so ridiculous. Like, it was just like I don't know, because women like complain about men don't see like the subtle signs. I looked at you and smiled. I can't believe you didn't realize I was in love with you and wanted to marry you. I was like, yeah, that's not how that works, because women also smile at you and say, you're funny. I hope we're friends. I just can't believe Zoey was that like ignorant. And like all her friends were like, you finally fucking noticed he's in love with you. Like, can't believe you didn't realize that, Zoey. And Zoey's like, what? Chase is in love with me? What? And so that's like season 3 ends, where it's like, Zoey's like, I'm going to move to England. And then Chase is like, and then like she listens in on like a phone, like a FaceTime conversation. I don't just like Zoey. I'm in love with her. And then Zoey comes back to PCA, but Chase ends up back in England, where Zoey was going to school because he had to beg, and so he had to wait an entire semester before he'd go back to PCA, and so Chase wasn't in the final season. And then, like, she just starts dating this fucking guy named James, who is good looking. I'm aware he's good looking, but also has, like, zero personality, because for me, I watch TV because real life, the nerdy guy does not end up with the beautiful woman. That's why I love TV, and that's why I was raised on it, and that's why I probably have that's why I have a podcast right now, because that's some mental problem. But no, and then like she just, her and Chase like, I guess we're gonna have to wait for a semester until we figure this out, and then all of a sudden she starts dating this guy named James. And I just don't like the chemistry between the couple. It's just so unnatural. And then, they prank Logan. Logan's a character on the show. And with Logan, though, I feel like, so Chase and Michael, they're really good friends with Logan. And then, Zoey and her friend group, she was friends with Chase, and then obviously they all hang out together, so they technically were really good friends. So like when they pranked Logan and did things with him, it was justified. Like they know Logan's doing something wrong, but they still love the guy, so they're just trying to help him out and do good by him. So when James does it, James doesn't know Logan that well, and so when he's being a dick to Logan, it's unjustified, and I do not like that shit at all. And so y'all know when the finale came and they broke up, and then Chase came back, and everything was good in the world, that I was happy. Except for they released a random-ass video on the internet of like the 10 years later where Chase is with another woman, not Zoey, and he's about to propose, but Michael comes in and says what Zoey said on the DVD they left in the time capsule. So there's a lot more going on. Hopefully they do a reunion special, and Chase and Zoey get married, because that's all I fucking want in life, is for the nerdy guy to get the woman. That's all I want. That's all I want. This is why I watch movies, to get away from that shit. So that's all I have to say on Zoey 101. I also watched the movie on Netflix, 1 week away. So this is like a Christian film, necessarily. So if you really hate, I'll just keep going. I'm letting you know that. But it was co-written by my friend Kaylee Bailey, who is a phenomenally talented. I texted my parents like, you should watch this movie. They're like, we watched it last weekend. We loved it. I'm like, that's my friend Kaylee. Kaylee is just phenomenal, and she's just very talented. She also wrote, maybe directed a Bellatrix Lestrange fan film. I think it's called The Dark Witch. It's basically the backstory of when Neville Longbomb's parents were tortured by Bellatrix, and it was really well done. I think I forgot that she made that, and then I watched the fan film because I'm a Harry Potter nerd, and then on like the credits is like written by Kaylee Bailey. I'm like, holy shit. She's super talented, folks. And also for me, I had like a positive experience at church camp. Like some of my best friends today I went to church camp with, and we may not agree fully on our religious beliefs, but I still love those guys. Still love everyone there. So like if we went there and you're still a good person, like hell yeah, we're still friends. I still have people like if I ran into someone, like we're definitely gonna be good friends. So it's definitely like that. So I had a very positive church camp experience. I know a lot of people didn't, unfortunately. But I don't know. For me, it was fun for me because I did have a positive experience, and I wish. I'm saying it's positive mainly because the friends I made along the way, no joke, are what was really important to me. And like I said, some of my best friends I met at church camp, and like we're still friends today. And I make them drink alcohol a lot and smoke things and shit like that. But also speaking of it, the kids at that camp were way more talented than anyone I went to. I remember like playing guitar. Like I brought my guitar, I'd play and like listen to someone else like dun 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 dun. And it was awful, folks. Like these kids are super talented. Like everyone at this camp is super talented, but none of the ones at mine in the middle of nowhere, Kansas, is that talented. And they were also like the competitiveness of like their like camp was way more like we did like games and challenges against the other family group. We had family groups of mine. They had like 3 specific teams that like you come back the next year, you're on that same team again. So that was kind of a weird thing. So it was way more competitive than mine was. We had like a couple jocks. And there was like a couple of me and like a couple of other guys that were just like the fat losers. We're just goofing around all the time, and that's why everyone loved us. So yeah, their group system I didn't like, but it was different from mine, so that's it. Amy Grant, Stephen Chris Chapman, 2 of my mom's favorite artists, who I have friends who know them, so I can assure you they're good kind. So if you have Christian parents who want to listen to contemporary Christian music, Amy Grant and Stephen, it probably goes by Steven, are both very good artists and cool people in real life. So that's really cool. But anyways, go watch it on Netflix. I mean, it's on Netflix. You don't have to go to a theater or anything. You already have a Netflix subscription. Go watch it. My friend Kaylee Bailey wrote it. She also loves how her name rhymes, so don't think I'm trying to be goofy with it. But no, Kaylee Bailey wrote it. I texted her, like, love the movie. Let me read the text I sent her. So I watched it. Let me read the text. So I wrote, Kaylee, I haven't talked to her in a while. COVID, I think. Kaylee, IDK if this is still your number. Just watched a week away and loved it. Though kids who went to my church camp were not that talented. And she said she was happy I enjoyed it. So, anyways, it's a fun movie. It's on Netflix. I'm not requesting anyone go to like a movie theater right now. Obviously, I don't know how many are open specifically. But like it's on Netflix. It's like if you want to have a good time, go watch it on Netflix. It's a very fun movie, and Kaylee is very talented. And if you consider it a Christian movie, like a lot of Christian movies suck ass. This one's actually very good. And they have like David Kushner, I believe is his name. He's from Anchorman, the bald guy from Anchorman. They got Octavia Spencer's in the movie. I think not Colin Quinn's. His last name's Quinn. I can't remember. And I think the chick who was like the little kid in Chronicles of Narnia, I don't know. I thought it was the same. I could figure it out, but I haven't. So, but no, it's a fun movie, so you should go watch it. That's what I have watched this week in movies. So, yeah. Well, hey there, Schwokelord. You just finished a full clip from the show. I hope you liked it, and I hope your brain cells don't hurt. If you want to check out more, we got more links here. We got full episodes, more clips, and the best of everything. Thank you so much for watching, and subscribe, and like this video if you enjoyed it.